The word of the moment, the word you need to know today that I wish you didn't need to know is stagflation. It's here and it's getting worse. And it's taken us all the way back to the 1970s. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Trish Regan Show. I am Trish. A quick reminder, you can subscribe to my podcast by getting the full audio version on Apple iTunes or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you hit the subscribe button here on this channel. Give the video a like. It's really important right now, or a rumble, that we have this connectivity. So thank you for being here. The reality is stagflation is what we're witnessing. Just look at the price of oil right now, which keeps going up, up, up and away. We're looking into the 90s now. The prognosis is for even $100 a barrel this winter. Don't forget, I told you months ago, by the way, at least 6 months ago, if not longer, watch oil, because my expectation was that it was going to be between 75 and 100 by year end. And sure enough, we're here. And there's some fundamental reasons for it, but there's also some inflationary reasons that are tied to all this money printing that you can cite as one of the reasons for this escalating oil. No matter which way you slice it, you know what? It hurts the bottom line of everyday American families. This is effectively a tax on everyone's income. If you're spending more at the gas pumps, it means you have less money to spend elsewhere. And given that consumer spending is 2/3 of the overall economy, that's kind of a problem. Now, I realize everybody's like, rolling in it, thanks to the Biden administration giving away all that free money. They gave away a lot of it. And by the way, Trump too, we had numerous stimulus programs that I promised you back then would lead to inflation. Indeed, here we are. So all this money printing is having some consequences. And so as you see the economy now start to falter, we're in a situation where I actually believe the economy is kind of broken. It really is kind of broken, because you can't continually have all this money given away and not feel the effects via, by the way, less workers in the economy. And that's what we saw with Southwest, right? Southwest is now canceling all these flights. They just canceled another 300 and something yesterday after 1,800 canceled over the weekend. Granted, their algorithms are quite lousy, apparently, because they didn't build this margin of error into any of the models. But that said, they're citing the fact that they don't have enough workers. They are not the only business citing the fact that they don't have enough workers. This is actually taking its toll on everyone. I was at a Dunkin' Donuts in New Hampshire several weeks ago, and there was no one there. They couldn't. I ordered online, tried to go in to get a nice coffee, and there was no one there, because they didn't have any workers. And so they were holding everything up. The line was massive. The drive-through wasn't really quite working. They were coming out and bringing things. It was a disaster. And I thought to myself, you know what? This economy is breaking down. And it's breaking down because we don't have enough workers. Now, if you're Joe Biden, you say, well, you just pay the workers more. But it doesn't work like that, Joe. Right? Because if you pay the workers more, the profitability is going to come from somewhere. Either it means less profits for the business owner, or for shareholders, or you just don't do as much business. Any which way you slice it, somebody's going to lose out. And this is an imbalance that's being created because of the over-involvement of government in our economy. Just look at the most recent jobs report, which showed we created less than half the number of jobs that economists thought we were going to create. They thought we were going to get like 500,000. We didn't even get anything close to that, like 180 some odd thousand. And the reason is not because businesses don't want to create the jobs, but because there are no workers to fill them. We have 10 million job openings in America right now. So all of this is going to have an effect. It will have an effect on the overall economy. And I believe the stock market. Look, the stock market's been doing great. So far, so good. But the question is whether or not that can keep up. I do think if it starts to falter and you're a long-term investor, meaning you can afford some flexibility. I like going in when the market falters, and I expect that there's going to be a little bit of faltering when we get some of these earnings reports out for October, because they may not be as good as people had hoped or anticipated. But before you start investing, before you get into all of that, I just want to take a quick moment and talk to you about one of our sponsors of this program. This is actually really important to me because I really feel like before you start putting your money into the markets, you need to kind of just take care of business, right? Which means take care of your family, make sure that you have the proper provisions in place. A lot of that, goes back to personal finance issues like making sure you have a safety net. I think COVID certainly taught a lot of people that. And also making sure that you have life insurance. It's really, really, really important. You know what? It's cheaper than you would think. I mean, a lot of people think, oh, well, I can't swing that and I'm not in the best of health. Well, the truth is you can do it. And this company can help you. It's called Select Quote. SelectQuote.com. They've actually been in business for more than 35 years. They have helped more than 2 million families to find life insurance. They really can help to match you up. They've got the technology to say, okay, this is what you're looking for. This is what you offer. This is the criteria that you need. And they can shop around with all the big guys for you. SelectQuote actually found a 40-year-old man, I want you to hear this, with high blood pressure, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for just $19 a month. $19 a month. Listen, like I said, it's the cost of doing business. Before you start venturing in to all the other things that you may want to venture into and with the markets, etc., I just want to make sure that you're taking care of your family in case you need to, because sometimes it happens. And I encourage you to listen to some of my other shows because I've told you about the family that grew up near me, and the father, right around the age of 40, died very unexpectedly with no life insurance, and the family was just put through HELL as a result. It was really bad. So this is an easy thing to do. It's really, really affordable. Like I said, $19 a month for this particular gentleman. There's no excuse really to put this off any longer. You need to protect your family. You need to protect everything that you've worked for. And at selectquote.com, the quotes are 100% free. You get them online. You get them in just minutes. So do me a favor, take a couple minutes to get your free quote. Go to selectquote.com today. Full details on sample policy and carrier ratings at selectquote.com/commercials. Price could vary by health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states. But do yourself this favor. Don't put it off. Go to selectquote.com today. But I want to get back to what's really going on, because this is effectively kind of a, what I like to call a Jimmy Carter style economy. When you've got that slow growth and high inflation, it sounds totally counterintuitive. I mean, how could you really have that, right? Because if people aren't buying, then why would prices be going up? And this is why it's so unusual, unique, and actually kind of hard to stop. I mean, the Federal Reserve, they've said all along, oh, this is just temporary, transitory actually is the word they like to use. It's transitory. It'll be done before you know it. Well, it's not going to be done before you know it. It is here to stay, and it's basically going to take an environment with much higher rates for it to change. But how do we get the much higher rates in light of the fact that the economy is expected to stumble? Jan Hatzius, who's the chief economist over at Goldman Sachs, put out a note effectively saying that he anticipated that rates would stay low for the foreseeable future. I mean, if rates stay low, then it's still sort of game on. The problem with this, as I've said over and over again, is that the Federal Reserve, in trying to help the little guy, really just helps the ruling asset-rich class of people, because it's those that have money in the markets that benefit most in these inflationary times. I mean, I look back to the Obama years, 8 years of very little economic growth, less than 2% annualized growth, and yet look at how well the markets did. Explain that. Look at the inflation that you saw in the things that we use, right? Food, energy, housing, all the things that we consume. And so if you're not someone who is invested in real estate, invested in stocks, invested in commodities, then how do you benefit in that environment? I mean, it really gets me, because they keep telling us, oh, this is to try and help the economy, the overall middle class. And yet, increasingly, we are in an environment where only the rich succeed, right? I mean, the middle class keeps getting squeezed. You've heard me talk about the hourglass economy. This is what we're heading to. in a really big way. I mean, the only sort of comparison I can come up with is these Latin American economies where you got a little bit, of rich, and a whole lot on bottom. In fact, maybe we should actually call it the pyramid, right? With the little tippy top. And this is thanks to Federal Reserve policy and frankly Joe Biden's policy as well, but he's not going to be successful. At least that's how it seems, getting anything through. So now, once again, all eyes are on the Fed. The pressure's on the Fed. They're trying to do what they think they need to do, but what they think they need to do is not actually the right thing for this economy. We need a market that can stand on its own 2 feet without all this sugar. You could call it sugar from the Fed. It is a sugar high. And so once you take that sugar away, what happens? I mean, that's the scary thought here, really. And it's been going on for some time. I mean, we saw Powell try and back off of it a little bit during the Trump era, and that was because the economy had stabilized enough and was growing enough, and you saw median incomes growing so that the Fed didn't have to do everything. But now we're right back where we were, and the Fed is the only game in town, and that ultimately is not good for middle-class America. Thank you again for tuning in today. I want to make sure that you are subscribed to the newsletter. Go to trishintel.com. Do sign up for it there. Do make sure you're downloading all of these podcasts on Apple iTunes or on Spotify or wherever you get the pod. And make sure to give this one a like and subscribe to the channel. So good to have you here, as always. I'll see you tomorrow.